And welcome to Capital Talk, a program we hope will have an impact on the future of Kenya. Now more than ever, I'm Jeff Kanenge. Now, if you've been watching The Bench all this week, you know what the theme has been all along. Rebels with or without a cause. And we want to wrap it up with a man I simply call a maverick. This man, he fears nobody. He calls it like he sees it. And yes, he's fiercely loyal to the person he's with at the moment. Whether it was Ngilu in the late 70s or ODM in the last election, or now his latest client, he's fiercely loyal. He also fears nobody, calls it like he sees it, like I said. And yes, he's going to break it down. State of the nation as it is now. So much to talk about in this week of the rebels. There's never a dull moment in Kenya. Last time I called him a gun for hire. This time I call him a maverick. Sit back. TG, as in Tony Gashaka.
Hi there, Jeff. How are you doing?
My brother, good to see you again.
Very good.
Last time you were here, it was Moto, man.
But I like this gun for hire thing because, look, I did clients out there, so I don't mind.
You don't mind.
Tell me.
Okay, let's start with the latest news first.
Yes.
Friday, today, is the funeral of Mary Onyango.
Yes.
Unfortunate passing away of an amazing woman in Kisumu.
Yeah.
Your latest client,
Yeah.
the new Minister for Justice, National Cohesion and Constitutional Affairs,
Yes.
is there front and center.
Absolutely.
So Kisumu today
Yes.
will be Moto.
It will be on fire. Let me just say, though, quick condolences to the family of the distinguished commissioner. But Habario today will be a battlefield. There is so much propaganda coming out of the ODM collapse. It reminds me of the Titanic. I don't know if you ever watched the movie.
I did. In fact, it's on 3D right now in the theaters.
When it hit the iceberg,
Yes.
the guys downstairs shouted to the captain, we've hit that iceberg and we are taking water. And the captain shouted, this is a Titanic, the greatest ship on earth. The Titanic cannot sink. So all of a sudden, I'm looking at ODM and it's hit an iceberg. And the iceberg, guys of Mudavadi are down there. They're trying to shout up there, Odinga, Odinga, the ship is sinking. And Odinga is saying, this is ODM, the ship cannot sink. Now, as this ship is taking water, the problem is it's all over the place and trying to hit innocent bystanders. Yes. Now, I want to be very clear because I want to be crystal clear. Eugene is today in Nyanza. And as the minister is going to make it absolutely unequivocally clear that he has never, in recent memory, ever met Musalia Mudavadi.
He's going to say that.
He's going to say that, and I'm saying that as his CEO.
Because there's headlines in the papers.
Now, look, I don't want to disparage any of my colleagues in the press, but for heaven's sake, if you say you have such a story, check the sources. They know who to check when they want to know who Wamalwa has met. They know who to check when they want to know who Mudavadi has checked. Nobody has checked with me. Nobody has checked with Eugene. There was no such meeting. It's a creation of a certain newspaper. And I want to tell you this. There has been no meeting between Wamalwa and Musalia Mudavadi. Having said so, Wamalwa is not a member of the ODM.
Correct.
He's not involved in their business.
Correct.
Whether they are fighting day and night and how their rules are exchanged or not, whether or not the legal committee will meet this Tuesday or next Tuesday, or whether they will confirm the minutes in September, that has nothing to do with Wamalwa. Now, with regard to Newford, Kenya, Shoita Shitanda, the Minister for Housing, or Boni Halwale meeting Musalia Mudavadi, that we cannot rule out. Because in politics, every political party has its problems. You go to Kanu, there will be a wrangle between Gideon Moi and Uhuru Kenyatta. There will be a wrangle between Odinga and Mudavadi. That's possible. And maybe there is somebody introducing a wrangle in Newford, Kenya. And if it comes, we will deal with it politically. Yeah. But in terms of political playing at the highest level in Western Kenya, the fact that the Minister of Justice somehow has reached out, or the Minister for Local Government has reached out to him, is actually, in lack of a better word, a creation of somebody's imagination. It didn't happen, hasn't happened, will not happen. I can tell you this, Eugene is running for president with or against Raila Odinga or any other person that the ODM may produce. Full stop.
You said he's running? He's running. And this recent promotion,
yes,
and I know you, Tony, I mean, I don't know where you get your sources or how you get your, I don't know if it's vision or what. You backed him when he was a nobody, and now he's risen. Did you see something we didn't see?
Of course, and that's my point. This is a country where everybody who has been ignored has turned out to be great. Look at Tom Mboya. Tom Mboya is a name, a household name. You go and look back at how Tom Mboya began. At the end of the day, he was assassinated. Go and look at Degama Pinto. Go and look at Professor Wangari Maathai. Moi said, forget that woman and ignore her. She was put, whatever. Look at Tony Gashoka. They call him a gun for fire, on hire. I mean, look at the people who make this country move are people who have been ignored. Look at Kenneth Matiba. He was detained. So the people who make a country move are not necessarily the people who drive the biggest cars or the people with the biggest bank accounts. It's the people with the biggest minds and the biggest hearts. And I can tell you, and I've known Eugene Wamalwa for many years, one of the things and untapped potential that he has got is his ability to compromise, to reach out, and to be able to be a team player. That has been very clear within G7. He's the most uncontroversial leader among the leaders of the G7. He is going to be, in my view, one of the most successful ministers. Already he has brought together the TGLC that has been fighting for years. He was able to call a meeting and say, hey guys, the country is bigger than all of you. He's hit the ground running on very important issues that deal with the Ministry of Justice. And now, as I'm saying to you, he has been faithful to the creed of why he's running for president, for generational, transformational change in this country.
But, let me ask you this, Tony, sorry to cut you off, but what do you tell those critics who are saying he was just put in there to remove Mutula Kilonzo and scuttle the ICC process? What do you tell those critics?
I want to tell them, how did they get appointed? How did Raila get appointed? He got appointed because the National Accord had brought this country to crisis. The country was kneeling and bleeding. People were killing each other. Raila was never elected Prime Minister of Kenya. He was appointed in a deal because neither he or President Kibaki had a clear win. How was Musalia Mudavadi appointed? By the same National Accord. How were they appointed? 44 ministers of them, how many of them? Tell me, were they elected to their positions? They were appointed through a consensus. Is ODM right now not represented by over 20 ministers? Is PNU not represented by over how many ministers? Is ODMK not represented in the government with other ministers? So what's wrong if you're appointed and you present the G7 and you're proud to represent the G7 and the young people of this country who for the first time are going to bring a generational war to this nation during the elections when they come, and it's going to be very hard and very hot, James. It will be harder than and softer and hotter than your bench here. I want to tell you, it's going to be an election like you've never seen.
Like no other.
Yeah, because what has already